Welcome everybody to this debate today. It is a debate especially for Water Week and it's about recycled water, yes or no.
Good morning. Chairperson, adjudicator, opposition, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that we should use recycled wastewater. Wastewater is water that has been used for a specific purpose and is no longer required for that purpose. Recycled water is water that has been derived from sewage systems or industry processes that is treated to a standard appropriate for its intended use. Today, as first speaker, I will talk about the environmental positives of using recycled water, the fact that no matter what people might think, recycled water is safe to drink, and also how people don't have to use it for drinking water if they don't want to. Our second speaker, Reese, will speak about the more environmental positives and the future for Ballarat. And our third speaker, Nick, will speak some more about some arguments, Nick will sum up our arguments and rebuttals. I would like to begin my arguments by talking about some environmental positives. Drought is a big issue in Australia, and in an average 4-person household we use 400 to 500 litres of water per day. This means that in Ballarat we use 50 megalitres of water each day. However, there is a possible way to reduce this extensive amount of water before drought, and that will be to use recycled water. Whilst drought is a big problem in Australia, it is not the only environmental benefit of recycling water. By filtering out all the bad chemicals and foreign objects, recycling water also helps prevent pollution and cleanses the water before it reaches places like oceans, lakes and rivers. To begin my second point, I would like to mention that although a lot of people might think recycled wastewater isn't safe to drink, it actually is. However, if someone doesn't want to drink recycled wastewater, they could always use it for something else, like watering plants. Recycled water, whether it's wastewater or not, goes through a 4-step process to purify it, and if you're going to use it for drinking, the first step is to get rid of the foreign objects. The second takes away any remaining solids, fats and oils. The third step biologically removes contaminants, and the fourth step uses ultraviolet light to kill off any harmful organisms. Recycled water is already used all around Australia. Most people just don't know about it yet. Recycled water goes into things like lakes and rivers to fill them up. For example, Penrith discharges recycled water into the nearby Nepean River. This means that no matter what people might think, recycled wastewater is just as safe to drink as ordinary water. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen and adjudicator. The topic for our debate is using recycled water, yes or no. However, we the negative team are firmly against using recycled water. We agree with this definition given by the affirmative team. Today, as first speaker, I'll be talking to you about why recycling is not the way to go, the yuck factor and the processing complications. Our second speaker will be talking to you about the dangers of recycling water and better alternatives, especially distillation. The first speaker has tried to tell you that we get droughts. Yes, this is right, but you don't have to use recycled water. You can use the ocean water that can be turned into fresh water. Now my arguments. Let's look at the facts. Just how much water do we have to recycle? 2.5% of the water on Earth is fresh, and of that, 68% is gaseous and are melting into the sea. Recycling is not worth the trouble. The yuck factor may sound trivial, but it is actually really serious. How much money will we need to spend convincing people that drinking recycled water or eating lettuce grown in recycled water is okay? And if people cannot be convinced it's safe, what's the point when there are alternatives, as our second speaker will talk about? My second point is about the complex processing that has to be undertaken and other matters like most of the treatment plants that we have in Australia are near industrial areas. No, we can't be positive that the water recycled is healthy for us to drink if it is being processed near industrial areas. In Ngambie, the city planning was very careful and thoughtful to not make their treatment plants near certain industries. In this case, they have been successful with their recycled water. So in this case, if we are going to recycle water, we would need to build a whole new treatment plant, not near an industrial area, and that just brings in another problem. Where? So you can see, firstly, we don't have much fresh water on Earth, and then it is very complex to get recycled water purified to the extent needed to be safety. And finally, it is very, very difficult to convince the public that it is safe to drink recycled water. So we need to look at other alternatives.
Hello everybody. Today I'll be continuing our case that we should be recycling water. First of all, the opposition tried to get you to believe that we shouldn't recycle the water, but we only have a limited supply of water. And what are we going to do with all that unrecycled wastewater? Leave it around for decoration? I don't think so. First of all, Ballarat currently has around 65,123 megalitres of water in storage as of 9 o'clock this morning. And quite a bit of that is recycled wastewater. So how much would that be if we took it away? Probably not enough for our uses. Also, recycled water doesn't have to be used for drinking, as the first speaker mentioned, because about half of Ballarat's total water usage per household is used for other things, not just drinking. Also, wastewater is used in so many places around the world. Do you think it'd still be used if there were hygiene issues with it? And most of you probably use recycled water in your day-to-day lives without realising it. So why don't you think we should use it? Additionally, there are different grades of recycled water for use, including grey water and bore water. So we use them for different things, for they have different filtration purposes, and not used for drinking, and etc.
Good morning, adjudicator, chairperson, opposition, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the opposition have said that recycled water is safe to drink. Even though recycled water is highly processed, there can still be nasties in it, as I will talk about later on. First, let's talk about the dangers of recycled water. Even though recycled water is highly processed, there are still dangers from drinking and using it. There can still be bacteria in recycled water. There can also be viruses, protozoa, and helminths, which are tapeworm and hookworm. Not only can recycled water affect humans, but it can also affect animals. For one, from fish living in recycled water, fish can change sex. What effects recycled water has on humans also have effects on animals. After hearing the dangers of recycled water, let's look at the alternatives. There are a couple of very effective alternatives to recycled water. We could start collecting stormwater. Stormwater flows naturally along the ground and is easy to collect. Stormwater is perfect for watering gardens. You can also drink stormwater if you run it through filters. Another alternative is rainwater. Many people in the rural areas of Ballarat already rely on rainwater. I know that my family does. Rainwater is clean and fresh because it has been evaporated many times, leaving all the nasties behind. If everyone put in a water tank to collect rainwater, Ballarat would have no need for recycled water. Another alternative is desalination. Desalination plants take seawater and turn it into clean, fresh water for drinking and use. Desalination is costly, but it would be worth it in the long run. This is why we should not be using recycled water. One, it can be dangerous to both humans and animals. And two, there are multiple alternatives that can be less costly as well as more effective. Thank you.
Hello, Chairperson, adjudicator, ladies and gentlemen. Our topic of this debate is, should we use recycled water? Our team believes we should definitely use recycled water. But first, let me talk about some issues we have with the opposing team's statements. To start off, the first speaker said that. The second speaker said that we could turn ocean water into fresh water. But the only treatment plant to turn ocean water into fresh water is in Melbourne. And think of the cost it would take to build another one. Also, he said that we could use stormwater instead. Well, if recycled water has viruses, who says stormwater couldn't have viruses as well? And another statement the first speaker said is the yuckiness factor. They said that a lot of people would find it disgusting and it would be very difficult to have the public want to use it. Well, considering that we use cow manure to grow our own plants and no one questions that, I'm pretty sure the public would use recycled water. But now to sum up our case. As our first speaker has said, droughts are really terrible and can do tons of damage. Recycling water can help negate the effect. Also, as our second speaker said, Ballarat does have a lot of water, but how much of that is wastewater? If we recycled all that water, we would have tons of water, and it would help. And in the future, it would help us all. In the future, we could possibly run out of water. If we recycled all of this water, future generations could have a much better chance of surviving. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, Adjudicator, Audience and Opposition. Today we are talking about whether we should use recycled water for drinking and other purposes. But there are many dangers and downfalls to using recycled water, such as what the first speaker said about preventing pollution is that the processes that we use to process the water can pollute, and that it undergoes 4 processes. Is that too much or not enough? The second speaker said that there is lots of water in storage in Ballarat, but we don't have to store water. We can use alternatives rather than storing water to use. The water is used for many different things and is processed differently. But just think of a veggie garden at home and that you grow your own vegetables and you use recycled water to water those plants. But what if the water damages it? Just because of the processes, it can damage many things such as animals, plants, and people. The third speaker said that desalination is very costly and that the only plant is in Melbourne. We can always build another, and as we've been saying this entire debate, it may be costly, but it'll be worth it. So in conclusion, using recycled water should be limited. There is the yuck factor, and the fact alone that recycled water has been through 11 bodies before it gets to yours is just gross. There are many processes that the water goes through, but is there a point where it's too much or not enough? And there may be nasties in it. There is still bacteria and certain chemicals remaining from the filtering. But just consider the alternatives, such as groundwater, stormwater, rainwater and desalination that will avoid drinking the same water over and over again. Thank you.
First of all, thank you to both teams for your presentation. I thought they were really good presentations and something that's very close to my heart and my role in that I manage water treatment and wastewater treatment at Central Highlands Water. So I thought the content and the discussion was fantastic, and it's a discussion that we regularly have within our business and within our industry, whether we should be using recycled water or whether we shouldn't be. So we can announce that the winning team today in a very closely fought debate is the team that was against the use of recycled water. And the best speaker has been awarded to the second speaker on the negative team. on behalf of Central Highlands Water, thanks very much for the invitation to come out here today to listen to the debate. Continue to have the debate because we only have one bucket of water in our world. We don't get any more, we don't get any less, and the way we use it is extremely important. So good luck for the rest of the year with the debating, and thanks very much.
Thank you.